Okay, great. So thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. We just held our informational session with your students earlier this week. So I'm glad to connect with all of you because I know you have that direct access to all of your students. So thank you so much for taking the time and allowing me to come. So this will be the quick version of what's the various internship programs that we're hiring for. And so my name is Dr. Denise Cervantes, as Mr. Peter had shared earlier. I am the Organizational Effectiveness and Workforce Development Manager within Goddard Space Flight Center. And so a little bit, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with our organization, with our missions. You might see it on the news, social media. This is just a high overview of our vision and what our purpose is. So to discover and expand knowledge for the benefit of humanity. And just a little bit about our core values that are central to how we accomplish our work and our day-to-day, with involving safety, integrity, teamwork, excellence, and inclusion. And we always often, when we go to universities, we've been getting more and more questions around what is your stance around diversity inclusion? How's that a part of your work culture? So we always like to make sure that we make students understand that inclusion is central to one of our core values, but to everything that we do. And so here at NASA, we're about providing that diverse, welcoming, inclusive, and equitable work environment. And we see that as essential to mission success. So we always make sure that we want to make sure students are aware that we have various employee resource groups that they can participate in, whether they're an intern or they're a permanent federal servant, civil servant employee, or even one of our federal contractors. This is something to building our diverse community, but also just building our NASA community as a whole and what makes us so much of a tight-knit community. And this is just a map of our 10 NASA centers. So I know that you have students that are from all over the country. And so we are hiring interns in all of these NASA facilities. So I want to show this map so that you can kind of see a little bit of where we are located. For those that are highlighted in the blue, those are all the facilities that are managed within my center, which is Goddard Space Flight Center. And so those are the Katherine Johnson I-beam facility. We have our main campus, which is Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. It's about 30 minutes outside Washington, D.C. We also have our Waltz Flight Facility, which is in Virginia. It's located on the coast. It's actually one of NASA's only owned NASA launch facilities. All of our other facilities out of Kennedy, over here in California with Armstrong and Ames, those are actually owned by the DoD and the Air Force. So we're very proud about that. So a lot of the students get that access to some of those actual live launches and being able to support some of those various launch activities. So that's a good benefit for some of our students as well. And so, when we're talking about NASA, and I know that you guys have majors across your university at the undergrad, at the graduate level. So we always like to make sure students understand that we're not just hiring rocket scientists. There's a place for you here with us. We hire, across various different majors. And so, you don't have to be, an astronaut to work with us. And we look for literally every skill set to build our incredible teams here. And so our first internship program is the Pathways internship program. Some of you might have heard of co-op programs. This is that same program, but of course it had a name change as we progress across the decades. So now it is called the Pathways program for all federal agencies. And so just a little bit of a high overview of that program is that it's similar to the co-op opportunity where the students are provided paid work experience. They're going to get those dynamic developmental opportunities while completing those academic curriculum requirements. And so they are considered civil servants as a part of that program. We do have positions for both STEM and non-STEM majors. And it is open to all academic levels. Typically, that's going to be a sophomore all the way up to the graduate level. So that could be master's or doctoral level. We do have vacancies that we post twice a year. So we're getting ready to have our fall vacancy announcement that opens up next week. It's going to be Monday, September 12th, and it will close next Friday, September 16th. And then our next vacancy announcement will be in the spring, and that typically is within the February 23 timeframe, although we don't have that specific date yet. And so here's some of the program requirements for the Pathways program. So you do need to be a U.S. citizen. You need to have successfully completed 30 semester hours within your program. You do need to be enrolled within an accredited university. If you are any of those STEM pathways positions that you're looking to apply for, specifically engineering, NASA is unique in that we have our own classification system within the federal government. And so as a part of our engineering programs and our jobs, we do require that ABET accreditation within your engineering program. And so these links here allow you to look to see if your specific engineering program within your university is ABET accredited, which University of Arizona is. You do need to have at least a 2.9 GPA, and you need to be able to complete 640 work hours prior to the students completing their academic degree requirements. So typically what that looks like is that they still need to have at least one academic year remaining within their program. And typically, you know, some students, they might have various practicum experiences as a part of their degree program. So they might take a semester off to do work their Pathways internship degree program work assignment during that time. There might be various different options to kind of postpone their graduation date so they could work at NASA to accumulate those various hours. So we do leave that flexibility with the students and for them to work that out directly with their hiring manager. And then you do need to make sure that whatever pathways position that you apply to and that you're seeking to be converted to, it has to align with your degree requirement. So with me being a part of the Engineering Technology Directorate, with our engineering students, they need to be completing an engineering ABET degree that's going to correlate with the engineering pathways position that they are occupying. And then they do need to be able to start on the specified start date upon completion of their degree. And if you have any type of veterans within your student community, we do provide veterans preference as well for those students and the application process. And so I do like to point out that within the past year and a half, the Office of Personnel Management has instituted a USA Hire Competencies Assessment, kind of like KSAs they used to use in federal government many years ago, but now they use it for student programs, specifically the Pathways program. So I always like to have a few information and tips about what that is. And so, you know, with our Pathways positions, we're looking for students that are not only captivated by the NASA vision and mission, but are also well-rounded. So we're looking for those diverse backgrounds, perspectives, and life experiences. And so if they enjoy working on teams, if they have a willingness to learn new things, we really are looking for them. So as a part of that OPM assessment, it is a 5-part assessment. And it does measure 13 non-technical competencies, which are listed here on this slide, that we have deemed as soft skills that are critical to NASA Pathway student success. And so all candidates will be required to complete this 1 to 3 hour assessment as a part of the application process. Applicants will have up to 48 hours after the close of the vacancy announcement to still complete the assessment. If they meet the minimum qualifications of the job, so after they have completed the application portion, so that's their resume, completing the various pre-entry questions as a part of the USA Jobs application, the system would then look to see if they met the minimum qualifications, and then it would email them a unique link to then continue on to complete this non-technical competency assessment. And so these are the 5 areas that competency assessment is going to be looking to assess. And so it is administered online in a timed, unproctored environment. They will need to answer each question within the allotted time frame. Typically, that looks like about 5 minutes per question. They will have the ability to leave the assessment. Let's say they have a class, maybe they need a break. So there's the ability to come in and out of the assessment and save their answers. It's just that they do need to make sure that they complete the assessment within 48 hours of the vacancy closing. If any student needs any type of a reasonable accommodation, that also is available. They'll see that listed on the actual job vacancy announcement. They would need to request any of those type of services prior to starting the assessment. But those are things that we would offer for any individuals or students with disabilities. And then you're going to see here a couple different resources that I listed on this slide. You know, the first link is about various sample questions, allow the students to get the look and feel for this assessment, what it's like about completing the timed questions. So this is a really great link to put on. Within NASA, we created our own Pathways internship applicant guide. So that also has a lot of great information as well about application tips, more about the Pathways program. And then this last link is just some informational interviews about the Pathways program here at NASA. So we get a lot of kind of standard questions when we do these kind of university engagements. So we created some videos so they can see from other past students that are Pathway interns about their experience, about how to apply to the program, you know, interview process and tips and so forth. So that's another great link to check out as well. And so when we're talking about what are we going to be hiring for this coming session, so for the vacancy that's opening up next week on September 12th through the 16th, within my directorate, we're looking to increase in various different discipline areas. And those are listed here. So aerospace, mechanical, electrical, mechatronic, computer software, computer science, artificial intelligence, systems engineering, chemical, physics, math, and optics engineering, although we are not limited to those areas. So for the other discipline areas that we will be having Pathways vacancies for also next week, is that they're going to be in these 4 categories that you see listed here. So we're going to be hiring interns within our technology and engineering mainly, but we also, and science as well, but we also hire within those non-technical areas. So business, human resources, public relations, marketing, management, economics. So, you know, we're not just looking for engineers and scientists, we're also looking for those non-technical majors as well. And we hire at all levels. So from undergrad to master's level to doctoral level students. So our second internship program is the OSTEM internships. So these are shorter stint paid internships, and they're either going to be in the fall, the spring, or the summer semester hours, depending on the student's availability. Whenever they are a part of that, that's when they're going to get these experiential and research opportunities. So it's a really great program that we like to infuse. It allows students to build up that professional work experience on their resume, allow them to kind of get a flavor of what it's like to work here at NASA, what's the culture like, build their network, work alongside our NASA engineers and scientists, and figure out, you know, is NASA a great place to work at? And so those program requirements for that internship program is that they do need to be a US citizen. They need to be at least 16 years of age at the time of the application. They need to have a 3.0 GPA. They can be an undergrad or graduate level student, but they do need to be enrolled within an accredited university. And sometimes we do have educators, so college professors, maybe they have the summer off and they're interested in some of our our university professor fellowships and so forth. You would also go to the following website to look up those opportunities. And so they would go to internnasa.gov to complete those applications. Once they complete the application, they're able to, you know, view, search all of our available internship projects across all those NASA centers that I listed on the previous slide earlier. So we have internships in every cycle at all 10 NASA centers. So the students will be able to kind of see, you know, look at the projects, look at the NASA center location, and determine, you know, what is most of interest, what aligns with their personal passions, maybe their career journey, goals, and so forth. And they would want to apply to those specific opportunities. So we are currently within the fall internship cycle. So the next cycle that we'll be going to be recruiting for is for our spring. So those students would be interning from January to May 23. And we start accepting those applications within October 22 through November 22. And then if they're looking to get a summer internship during their summer breaks, we would start accepting those applications in December 22, and they would close in March 23. And what that looks like in the summer, it's even shorter. It's a 10-week internship. So they would start sometime in early June, and typically it is over by the second week in August. And we do offer various different internship types. So as you can imagine with the pandemic, we had to relook at how we operated here within our federal agency. So for the last 2 years, all of NASA internships have been virtual. With the pandemic coming to a close, you know, coming to safe levels, we have actually opened up our NASA facilities for both our permanent employees and for our interns. So whenever they're looking at all those different internship projects, it's also going to list that important information of, is this a virtual internship? Is this an on-site internship? Is it a hybrid internship? So maybe it's, you know, half time on site, half time in the virtual world. It's going to have that listed on the application as well on the project. project. So they want to make sure that they're applying to the project that most aligns that where they're going to be able to support. So if they can't be on site and they apply to an on-site internship, right, they wouldn't want to apply to that project.